Friends, imagine a world where your worth isn't measured by the love you receive, but by the suffering you endure. A place where kindness is a currency that costs you everything, and where the most vulnerable amongst us often carry the greatest burdens. This isn't just a hypothetical scenario, it's a chilling reality that echoes through countless lives, a silent struggle played out in the hidden corners of our society. Today we're going to dive into a story that lays bare the rawest emotions of the human experience, a tale of profound injustice, unwavering resilience, and the unexpected miracles that bloom in the harshest of conditions. It's a narrative that compels us to look beyond the superficial, to question our definitions of family, wealth, and destiny. We'll explore the complex tapestry of human relationships, where greed clashes with generosity, and where the darkest acts of cruelty can, paradoxically, pave the way for extraordinary blessings. So settle in, open your hearts, and prepare to be moved by the journey of a young woman whose spirit, though tested by fire, refused to be broken. This is not just a story. It's a mirror reflecting the fundamental choices we all face, and a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest riches are found not in what we possess, but in the depths of our compassion. Our story begins with Chloe, a soul who, from her earliest memories, understood the chilling embrace of rejection. Orphaned at a tender age, her childhood was a revolving door of temporary homes, each one leaving an indelible mark of not quite belonging, a perpetual outsider looking in. The concept of a stable, loving family was a distant dream, a whispered hope that rarely materialized. She navigated these transient environments with a quiet dignity, developing an acute sensitivity to the nuances of human connection, or rather, the lack thereof. When Mr. Benson entered her life, offering the promise of adoption, a fragile flicker of hope ignited within her. Could this be it? Could she finally have a place to call her own, a family to cherish? The yearning for acceptance was a powerful current, pulling her towards this new chapter with cautious optimism. However, the illusion of belonging was swiftly shattered. Chloe soon discovered that in the Benson household, she was less a daughter and more a carefully curated exhibit of Mr. Benson's supposed philanthropy. Her presence was a testament not to love, but to a calculated display of charity, a superficial gesture designed to bolster his public image. The warmth of a true home was conspicuously absent, replaced by an atmosphere of cold utility. Every chore, every meal, every interaction was steeped in the unspoken understanding that her value was conditional, her existence a favor granted, not a bond shared. This subtle yet pervasive feeling of being an other intensified the loneliness she had carried since childhood, proving that even within a supposed family, one could still remain utterly isolated. The pain of realizing she was merely a project, an object of convenience rather than affection, was a fresh wound, deep and persistent. It taught her a bitter lesson about the true meaning of familial love, a lesson she would carry and ultimately defy throughout her extraordinary journey. Mr. Benson, the patriarch of this dysfunctional unit, had another daughter, Stacy. Stacy, however, was rarely home. Her life was a stark contrast to Chloe's structured existence, a whirlwind of reckless abandon and calculated indiscretion. While Chloe was meticulously groomed with discipline and a strong moral compass, Stacy operated on an entirely different wavelength. She moved from one man to another, a string of wealthy benefactors who, in turn, fueled Mr. Benson's insatiable desire for money. For him, Stacy was a golden goose, a conduit for financial gain. He never questioned her whereabouts, never probed into the murky details of her lifestyle. As long as the money flowed, a steady stream of crisp banknotes filling his coffers, Mr. Benson conveniently turned a blind eye to everything else. His moral compass, if it ever truly existed, was hopelessly broken, bending always towards material gain. He embodied a chillingly transactional view of human relationships, where even his own daughter was a means to an end, a valuable asset in his personal economy. This dynamic created an unsettling dichotomy within the household: Chloe, striving for integrity and genuine connection, and Stacy, navigating a world where relationships were purely about profit, all under the approving, yet silently corrupt, gaze of their shared guardian. Chloe, on the other hand, refused to be drawn into this moral quagmire. She possessed an innate fortitude, a quiet resolve that rejected the path laid out by Stacy and implicitly sanctioned by Mr. Benson. Her integrity was her shield, her honesty, her unwavering guide. She toiled relentlessly, earning every penny through arduous effort and unwavering decency. The disparity in treatment was not lost on her. She observed Mr. Benson's favoritism, his dismissive glances, the subtle ways he underscored her status as an unwelcome burden. Yet she refused to let it chip away at her spirit. Each unkind word, each unacknowledged effort, rather than breaking her, seemed to temper her resolve, strengthening her inner core. She executed her chores with meticulous precision, cooked his meals, and maintained the household with an efficiency born of necessity, all while being treated as if she were invisible. Her resilience was a testament to a spirit that understood self-worth was not granted by external validation, but cultivated through internal conviction. This quiet defiance became her armor, a stark contrast to the hollow materialism that pervaded the Benson home, and a powerful prelude to the profound acts of kindness that would soon define her. One sweltering evening, as Chloe made her weary way back from the bustling market, a small bag of groceries clutched in her hand, the mundane rhythm of her day was abruptly broken. A commotion erupted ahead, drawing her attention. The harsh, indignant shouts of a bus conductor sliced through the evening air, his voice dripping with irritation and contempt. I said, "Bring my money. If you knew you didn't have enough, why did you even step onto my bus?" he bellowed, punctuating his words with a rough shove that sent an elderly man stumbling. Chloe's heart, already heavy with the day's burdens, tightened instantly at the sight. The elderly man was a tableau of hardship, frail and stooped, his clothes threadbare and patched, his face a roadmap of wrinkles etched by years of unrelenting struggle. His eyes held a deep, weary sadness, reflecting a life lived on the fringes, constantly battling against the tide. Yet despite the palpable signs of his vulnerability, the conductor showed him no mercy, no shred of human empathy. A wave of indignation surged through Chloe, overriding her usual cautious nature. Without a moment's hesitation, propelled by an intrinsic sense of justice, she marched forward. "Hey, stop that!" she snapped, her voice firm despite the tremor in her heart, stepping resolutely between the aggressive conductor and the beleaguered old man. "Is this really how you treat your elders? Is this what humanity has come to?" The conductor, taken aback by her sudden intervention, scoffed, a sneer twisting his lips. "And who, pray tell, are you? If he has no money, he has no business being here. He should get out of my sight and off my bus." Chloe met his gaze with a defiant glare, her eyes blazing with righteous anger. Reaching into her small bag, she pulled out the few precious coins she had, the meager change from her meager shopping. "Here," she commanded, pressing the money into his hand. "Take this, and just stop harassing him. This poor man deserves respect, not humiliation." The conductor, grumbling under his breath, snatched the money, his anger momentarily deflated by her unexpected resolve, and stomped away. The old man, who had been shrinking under the conductor's tirade, slowly straightened, a deep sigh of relief escaping his lips. His tired eyes, rimmed with the redness of exhaustion and perhaps unshed tears, filled with an overwhelming gratitude as they met Chloe's. "Thank you, my daughter," he rasped, his voice frail but sincere. "You didn't have to do that. It was too much." Chloe offered him a gentle, reassuring smile, her own weariness momentarily forgotten in the warmth of her benevolent act. "It's nothing, Papa," she said softly. "No one deserves to be treated that way. Every person, regardless of their circumstances, deserves dignity and kindness." The old man's lips curved into a weak, grateful smile. "My name is Patrick," he introduced himself, extending a trembling hand. "I am just a poor farmer, living alone. No wife, no children. I had a son once, many years ago, but he died. He's gone." Chloe's heart ached for him. She could discern the profound sadness in his weathered eyes, the deep-seated loneliness that had likely been his constant companion for countless years. His story resonated with her own experiences of loss and isolation, forging an instant unspoken bond between them. Empathy, raw and potent, flowed from her. "Don't worry, Papa," she said, her voice filled with a genuine warmth she rarely had the chance to express. She squeezed his hand gently, offering a reassuring smile. "I'll find some time soon to come and help you on your farm, and I can help you cook too, if you like. You shouldn't be alone all the time." Patrick's face, which moments before had been a canvas of despair, visibly brightened. It had been an unfathomably long time since anyone had shown him such pure, unsolicited kindness, a gesture born of true compassion rather than obligation. You would do that for an old man like me?" he asked, his voice thick with emotion, disbelief and hope warring within him. "Of course I will. I'll come as soon as I can, Papa," Chloe promised, her resolve firm, her spirit rekindled by the simple act of human connection. Patrick watched her retreating figure as Chloe walked away, his heart aglow with a warmth he hadn't felt in years. He had encountered countless people in his long and arduous life, but none possessed the selfless spirit of this young girl. Her kindness was a beacon, cutting through the shadows of his loneliness, reminding him that genuine human connection still existed. He remained standing there, watching until her figure vanished from sight, his mind already alight with hopeful anticipation of the day she would visit. It was a rare, precious feeling, a spark of joy in a life often devoid of light. As Chloe continued her journey home, a sense of purpose, long absent from her heart, began to stir. For so many years, her existence had been defined by a desperate search for belonging, a place where she could drop her guard and truly be herself. Now, a new thought, a quiet whisper of possibility, began to form. Perhaps, just perhaps, her purpose wasn't about finding a family to accept her, but about being family to someone else. The act of giving, of offering comfort and compassion to Papa Patrick, had filled a void within her, a hunger that went beyond the physical. It was a profound revelation, a realization that true fulfillment stemmed not from being taken in, but from reaching out. This newfound sense of direction, this nascent understanding of her own capacity for love and care, gave her weary steps a lighter cadence. She wiped the sweat from her forehead, not just from the day's heat, but from the emotional intensity of the encounter. Yet even before she stepped across the threshold, an unsettling premonition prickled at her senses. Trouble, she knew instinctively, was brewing. The moment Chloe pushed open the door, the unsettling premonition became a stark reality. Mr. Benson stood rigid in the center of the living room, his arms aggressively crossed, his face a mask of contorted fury. "Where have you been, you useless girl?" he barked, his deep voice echoing menacingly through the oppressive silence of the house. Chloe froze, momentarily paralyzed by the sheer force of his rage. His voice, laden with contempt, was a familiar weapon, designed to instill fear and subservience. "I have been sitting here hungry since morning, and you, I suppose, decided to take a leisurely nap at the market, didn't you?" His accusation dripped with sarcasm and an underlying current of menace. Chloe opened her mouth, her explanation already forming, a desperate plea for understanding. "Daddy, But Mr. Benson was not interested in explanations, nor in any semblance of filial address. His face contorted further, veins pulsing in his neck. "Shut up!" he roared, cutting her off mid-sentence. "I have told you countless times not to call me your father. You are not my child, and you will never be my child. Understand that. Now, where is the change from the money I gave you? Don't try to play games with me." Chloe swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry. This was precisely what she had feared, the inevitable collision of her act of kindness with Mr. Benson's unyielding avarice. Taking a deep, shaky breath, she attempted to speak calmly, to present her case with a reasoned voice, though her heart was pounding against her ribs. "Daddy," she began again, making one last attempt to connect. "That's exactly what I was trying to tell you. I saw an old man being harassed by a bus conductor. He didn't have enough money for his fare, and he was being humiliated. So I gave it to him." Before she could even complete her sentence, before the full weight of her explanation could be heard, Mr. Benson's hand flew across her face with a deafening crack. The sound resonated through the house, a brutal punctuation mark to his contempt. Chloe staggered backward, her head snapping to the side, her palm immediately flying to her burning cheek. Tears, hot and involuntary, stung her eyes, blurring her vision. The shock of the blow, the sheer physical assault, was compounded by the emotional violence of his words. "You gave my money to a poor man?" he yelled, his eyes flaring with an incandescent rage. "So, you've started consorting with poor men now, have you? You found yourself a poor boyfriend and you're feeding him with my money?" Chloe gasped, the accusation so outlandish, so cruel, that it took her breath away. "No, Daddy, it wasn't like that. He was just an old man, a struggling farmer." But Mr. Benson cut her off with a bitter, derisive laugh, his face twisted with scorn. "Foolish girl, just look at you. Look at how you conduct yourself." He gestured wildly, encompassing her entire being in his contempt. "My daughter, Stacy, she's out there, making real money from wealthy men. Men who shower her with lavish gifts and cold, hard cash. Money that puts food on this very table. Money that keeps this house running. Money that sustains my comfortable life. And you squander my resources on beggars and old men, on foolish acts of charity that yield nothing." Chloe's stomach twisted in profound disgust, a nauseating swirl of anger and revulsion. She clenched her fists, her nails digging painfully into her palms, and her voice, though trembling, was firm with conviction. "With all due respect, Daddy," she stated, looking him directly in the eye, "I can never be like Stacy. God forbid such a thing. My path is different." A heavy, suffocating silence descended upon the room, thick with unspoken tension. For a fleeting second, Chloe braced herself, anticipating Mr. Benson's imminent explosion. His nostrils flared, his face darkening further with a dangerous crimson flush. Before she could react, before she could even flinch, his hand descended once more. Another stinging slap, echoing the first, landed squarely on her cheek. "You must be truly foolish," he roared, his voice trembling with unbridled fury. "You think you can compare yourself to Stacy? You are nothing, absolutely nothing compared to her. Do you honestly believe your decency will bring money into this house? Do you think your silly morals will pay the bills? You will suffer. Do you hear me? You will suffer the consequences of your self-righteousness." Tears welled up in Chloe's eyes, hot and insistent, but she refused to let them fall. She would not grant him the satisfaction of witnessing her breakdown. She would not give him that power. "For talking back at me, for your insolence and your foolishness, there will be no food for you in this house. Mr. Benson declared, his voice chillingly devoid of empathy, laced with a cruelty that cut deeper than any physical blow. "You will not eat for 2 days. Let hunger teach you some sense, some understanding of how the world truly works. Perhaps then you will appreciate what I provide." Chloe's stomach growled in agonizing protest, a stark reminder of her physical vulnerability, but her stance remained resolute. She would not break. "Now, go to the kitchen and prepare my meal," he commanded, his voice dripping with condescension. "Before my angel Stacy returns. Go, you senseless girl, do as you're told." Chloe turned, her head held high, though her insides were churning, her spirit splintering under the weight of his brutality. She felt weak, exhausted, and profoundly betrayed. She had committed no wrong, merely extended a hand of kindness, yet she was being punished with a savagery that defied all reason. As she stood by the stove, stirring the pot of soup, a silent, fervent promise formed in the depths of her heart. One day she would leave this house. One day she would be free, and she would never, ever have to endure this torment again. This vow, forged in the crucible of her pain, became her guiding star, a quiet strength in the face of overwhelming despair. The following morning, Chloe awoke with a profound sense of weakness. Her stomach gnawed at itself, a painful testament to the hunger that had taken root within her. Yet, despite the physical agony, she knew she had no choice but to continue with her arduous daily chores. The house, oblivious to her suffering, still demanded her labor. She swept the living room, a dull ache in her back accompanying each stroke of the broom. She washed the dishes, the cold water stinging her chapped hands, and then, with a heavy heart, began preparing breakfast for Mr. Benson. The tantalizing aroma of sizzling fried eggs and warm, toasted bread wafted through the house, a cruel torment to her empty stomach. Each whiff made her hunger growl painfully, but she knew, with an agonizing certainty, that none of it was for her. She was to prepare, but not to partake. As she carefully placed the steaming food on the dining table, Stacy made her grand entrance. Dressed in a tight, figure-hugging dress and towering high heels, she radiated an aura of expensive freshness. Her face, meticulously made up with costly cosmetics, glowed with an artificial vibrancy. Unlike Chloe, who had spent the night in the throes of hunger and silent tears, Stacy had undoubtedly been out enjoying herself, indulging in the luxuries her lifestyle afforded. Chloe, desperate and weary, saw this as a faint glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, Stacy, her stepsister, could offer a sliver of compassion, an intervention with their tyrannical father. Taking a deep breath, she approached Stacy with a cautious, almost pleading tone. "Stacy, please, I need to talk to you," Chloe began, her voice barely above a whisper. Stacy rolled her eyes, her lips pursed in an expression of instant irritation, already signaling her disdain. "What do you want, you dirty girl?" she snapped, her words cutting and dismissive. Chloe hesitated, gathering her courage, the words catching in her throat, but the urgency of her situation compelled her forward. "Yesterday," she began, recounting the events, "your father, our father, he punished me for no reason. I saw an old man being harassed by a bus conductor, and I used part of the money he gave me to help him. He was truly suffering. But when I came back, he became enraged. He slapped me, insulted me, and declared that I wouldn't eat in this house for 2 days. I haven't had anything since yesterday, Stacy." Stacy, meanwhile, had picked up a small mirror from the table and was meticulously reapplying her lipstick, barely registering Chloe's desperate plea. Her gaze was fixed on her own reflection, her attention firmly anchored to her superficial concerns. "And why, pray tell, are you recounting this tedious tale to me?" she asked casually, her tone utterly devoid of concern, as if Chloe were discussing the weather. Chloe swallowed hard, a bitter taste rising in her mouth as she forced herself to swallow her pride. Because I'm really, truly hungry, Stacy, she confessed, her voice cracking with the admission. I didn't eat anything yesterday and I still have to do all the work in this house. My head is spinning from hunger. Please, can you talk to him? Maybe if you, his favorite, were to tell him, he might change his mind just this once. He might listen to you. Stacy finally turned her gaze away from the mirror, looking at Chloe properly, a faint, unsettling smile playing on her lips. She tilted her head, observing Chloe as if she were an interesting, albeit pathetic specimen. So, let me get this straight, Stacy said, her voice dripping with amusement. You want me to beg Daddy for you? You want me to intercede on behalf of the disobedient orphan? Chloe nodded quickly, a flicker of desperate hope in her eyes. Yes, please, Stacy. Just tell him to let me eat. I'm so weak. Stacy burst into a cruel, mocking laugh, the sound echoing through the room, a stark contrast to Chloe's agony. You must be truly foolish, she declared, wiping a tear of mirth from her eye. How is that my business? He's right, you know. You are just a stubborn, dirty girl. If you had only listened, if you had only behaved like me, if you had embraced practicality over pointless morality, you wouldn't be starving right now. You reap what you sow, Chloe. Chloe's heart, already a fragile thing, sank completely. The last vestiges of hope evaporated, leaving behind a cold, desolate emptiness. But Stacy, Chloe pleaded, her voice barely audible, I can't be like you. I don't want to be like you. Stacy snapped, her eyes rolling in exaggerated exasperation. Then stay hungry. Honestly, I couldn't care less about your self-righteous moral dilemmas. Tears stung Chloe's eyes, a fresh wave of betrayal washing over her. She had harbored a foolish hope that perhaps, just perhaps, Stacy would show a flicker of human kindness. But she was profoundly, painfully wrong. Stacy, with a flourish, reached into her expensive purse and pulled out a few crisp banknotes. Here, take this, she said, shoving the money into Chloe's hand with an air of dismissive generosity. Chloe looked at the money, confused, her mind struggling to process this unexpected gesture. You're giving me money for food? She asked, a tentative question born of disbelief. Stacy scoffed, her lips curling in a sneer. Food? Who said anything about food? Don't be ridiculous. I want ice cream. Go to the supermarket and buy me some. And don't waste time, you hear? I want my ice cream, and I want it now. Chloe stared at her stepsister in utter disbelief, her stomach clenching with renewed hunger and despair. Stacy, she whispered, her voice tinged with agony. I haven't eaten anything since yesterday. Can't I at least buy something, anything for myself? Even a small piece of bread? Stacy rolled her eyes again, her patience clearly at an end. I don't care if you die of hunger, Chloe. Just get me my ice cream, you dirty, stubborn girl. Now move. Chloe clenched her jaw, biting back the tears that threatened to overflow. She was trapped. If she refused, Stacy would undoubtedly complain to their father, and his wrath would only make things infinitely worse. So without another word, her heart heavy with pain and her stomach aching with hunger, she turned and left the house, the weight of her suffering pressing down on her with unbearable force. As Chloe walked down the dusty, sun-baked road, her heart felt like a leaden weight in her chest. Hunger gnawed at her insides, a persistent, debilitating ache. Her body was weary, her spirit frustrated, yet she forced herself to keep moving, one foot in front of the other. The sun beat down relentlessly from a merciless sky, the oppressive heat making her dizzy, blurring the edges of her vision. But she pushed through the physical discomfort, driven by a faint, desperate hope and the undeniable need to fulfill Stacy's cruel demand. Just as she neared the familiar bustle of the market area, her eyes, scanning the familiar landscape, caught sight of a figure sitting under the shade of a gnarled tree. A flicker of recognition ignited within her. It was the old man, Papa Patrick. He looked utterly lost in thought, his face etched with a deep, pervasive sadness. Papa, Chloe called out, a genuine smile despite her exhaustion finally touching her lips. The old man looked up, and when his eyes met hers, his face, previously shrouded in gloom, brightened instantly, a warm light spreading across his weathered features. "Ah, my daughter, God bless you. How are you today? It's good to see you again." Chloe walked up to him, wiping a bead of sweat from her forehead, a familiar gesture of her enduring struggle. "I'm fine, Papa," she replied, her voice tinged with a slight weariness she couldn't entirely mask. "But I just realized I forgot to ask you something yesterday. I forgot to ask you where you live. You promised to let me help you on your farm, remember?" Papa Patrick chuckled softly, a warm, melodic sound that offered comfort. "Ah, yes, my daughter, I remember. I live in that small brown house near the river, just after the big mango tree. You'll see a wooden fence, and my little farm right beside it. It's not much, but it's home." Chloe nodded, absorbing the directions, her mind already picturing the tranquil scene. "Don't worry, Papa. I will visit you tomorrow. I promise." She then noticed the lingering sadness in his eyes, a shadow that his smile couldn't entirely dispel. His hands were clasped together, his gaze distant, lost in deep contemplation. "Papa, why do you look so sad?" she asked gently, her empathy once again overriding her own troubles. The old man sighed deeply, a heavy sound laden with weariness. "My daughter, I am waiting for someone who owes me money. He promised to meet me here today and pay me, but I've been sitting here for hours, and he has not shown up. Worse still, he has stopped picking my calls. He's avoiding me, I fear." Chloe frowned, her jaw tightening. "That's not fair, Papa. You worked for your money. He has no right to treat you like this." Papa Patrick shook his head, a resigned expression on his face. "Some people, my daughter, they simply have no conscience. I need that money to buy food and to purchase some essential things for the farm. But it seems this man has decided to run away with it, to cheat an old man out of his hard-earned wages." Chloe's hands instinctively tightened into fists, a surge of protective anger bubbling within her. She couldn't tolerate people who mistreated others, especially someone as inherently kind and vulnerable as Papa Patrick. "Papa, give me his number," she said, her voice firm with resolve, a steely determination entering her tone. The old man hesitated, a flicker of apprehension in his eyes. "But my daughter, I don't want you to get involved in my troubles." "Don't worry," Chloe insisted, her voice unwavering. "Just give it to me. I'll handle it." Papa Patrick, swayed by her conviction, slowly retrieved a small, crumpled piece of paper from his pocket, the man's number scrawled upon it. Chloe took the slip, pulled out her simple phone, and dialed the number. After a few rings, the man on the other end picked up. "Hello, who is this?" His voice was rough, impatient, and utterly devoid of warmth. Chloe took a deep breath, steeling herself before speaking. "Good afternoon, my name is Chloe. I am calling regarding the money you owe Papa Patrick." There was a brief silence on the other end, followed by a dismissive scoff. "And what business is that of yours? Tell the old man to wait for 2 weeks. I don't have the money right now, and I'm busy." Chloe's blood boiled with righteous anger, her carefully maintained composure threatening to shatter. 2 weeks, she shot back, her voice laced with indignation. "Do you think he doesn't have needs? Do you think he can survive on thin air while you enjoy yourself with his hard-earned money? You are a heartless man, a despicable cheat." The man was quiet for a moment, clearly taken aback by her ferocity. Then he muttered, "I said, I don't have money," before abruptly ending the call. Chloe clenched her teeth, a fresh wave of fury washing over her. "Can you imagine?" she exclaimed to Papa Patrick, disbelief and anger warring in her voice. "He just cut the call. He hung up on me." Papa Patrick sighed, a profound weariness settling over him. "I told you, my daughter," he said, shaking his head slowly. Some people simply have no fear of God, no conscience whatsoever. Chloe looked at the old man, feeling an even deeper sense of frustration and helplessness. How, she wondered, could the world be so profoundly unfair? Here was a poor, honest old man who had toiled tirelessly for his meager earnings, yet someone had the sheer audacity to cheat him, to deny him the basic necessities of life. The injustice was a palpable weight in the air. She reached into her pocket, her fingers closing around the few banknotes Stacy had given her for ice cream. With a decisive gesture, she pulled out the money and placed it gently into Papa Patrick's trembling hands. The old man's eyes widened in disbelief, then filled with a familiar sorrow. "No, my daughter," he protested, trying to push the money back. "You cannot give me this. I know you are also struggling just like me. You need it more than I do." Chloe shook her head firmly, her resolve unwavering. "Papa, you need it more than I do. You are old, and you need proper nourishment to stay healthy. I am young and stronger. I can cope with hunger for a little longer. Please, Papa, take it. You need food to stay healthy and strong." Tears welled up in Papa Patrick's eyes, glistening as he looked at her with an overwhelming gratitude that transcended words. He took her hands in his, holding them tightly, and began to pray, his voice choked with emotion. "My daughter," he murmured, his voice trembling with a raw, heartfelt sincerity. "May God bless you abundantly. May you never lack, and may your path be paved with unimaginable fortune. And may you meet a good man, a truly kind and virtuous man, who will cherish you, marry you, and treat you with the same boundless kindness and compassion you have shown me today. May he be your solace and your strength." Chloe smiled, deeply touched by his profound blessing, her own eyes moist with unshed tears. "Amen, Papa," she whispered, her heart swelling with an emotion she hadn't known she was capable of feeling. Papa Patrick then smiled, a genuine, joyful expression illuminating his face. "I want you to come to my house this weekend," he announced, a mischievous glint in his eye. "I will be taking some farm produce to the market in 2 days. So by the time you visit, I will have enough money to host you properly, to treat you like the special guest you are." Chloe burst into laughter, the sound light and genuine, a stark contrast to the heavy silence that usually filled her life. "Papa, you are so funny," she giggled. "So you're planning to throw me a feast, eh? A grand banquet in my honor?" Papa Patrick grinned, his eyes twinkling. "Yes, my daughter. I may be poor in possessions, but I will make sure you eat well when you visit. You deserve a proper meal, and I will be honored to provide it." Chloe wiped a tear of joy from the corner of her eye, still chuckling. "Well," she said jokingly, "I hope you know that I eat a lot, Papa. I might just finish all your food." Papa Patrick laughed heartily, a deep, rumbling sound of pure contentment. "I don't mind, my daughter. I truly don't. As long as you come, as long as you grace my humble home with your presence, I will be the happiest man alive." Chloe smiled warmly, a profound sense of peace settling over her. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, she felt genuinely, completely at ease. Perhaps she had lost her real parents, leaving a gaping wound in her heart. But in Papa Patrick, she had found something she never expected, something she had unknowingly yearned for, a father's unconditional love, a solace that transcended blood. It was a revelation, a precious gift in a life marked by such profound absence. Chloe walked into the house, her steps slow and heavy, each footfall a testament to her exhaustion. Her stomach ached from the gnawing hunger. Her body felt weak and depleted, but she forced herself to keep moving, driven by a desperate plan forming in her mind. The moment she stepped inside, she let out a loud, broken sob, her voice shaking as if she had been crying for hours, a performance honed by necessity. "Ah!" she wailed, clutching her stomach dramatically. "Why me?" What did I do to deserve this pain? She collapsed onto the couch, her shoulders heaving with meticulously faked sobs. Burying her face in her hands, she made sure to sniff loudly, making the sound as convincingly real as possible. Stacy's voice, sharp and utterly uninterested, pierced through Chloe's feigned distress. "What's your problem this time, you drama queen?" she drawled, her tone indicating profound boredom. Chloe sniffled, her voice trembling dramatically as she spoke. "Stacy, I was attacked," she cried, her hands gripping the edge of the couch as if she were about to collapse from pain, her body shaking with an exaggerated tremor. "Attacked?" There was a slight pause, a moment of fleeting surprise before Stacy spoke again, her voice still laced with skepticism. "By whom? Don't make up stories." Chloe gasped, pretending to struggle for breath, her performance reaching its peak. "A group of young men. They surrounded me on my way to the supermarket. They pushed me, slapped me, and took all the money you gave me. Everything is gone." There was a tense silence, punctuated only by Chloe's continued, exaggerated sniffling. Then Stacy spoke again, her tone now filled with an unsettling amusement, a cruel delight. "Oh, please," she scoffed. "Spare me the tears, Chloe. You should be grateful they didn't finish you off. Honestly, you're so melodramatic." Chloe's fake crying almost turned real. The sheer heartlessness of Stacy's words was a punch to the gut. She lifted her head slightly, her eyes wide with genuine disbelief. "Stacy," she gasped, her voice barely a whisper. "What?" Stacy's voice was light, almost joyful, a ripple of cruel laughter in her tone. "You are useless in this house anyway, Chloe. If they had unalived you, at least this house would be free from your miserable presence. It would be a blessing for everyone." Chloe's chest tightened, a cold dread seizing her. No matter how cruel Stacy had been in the past, she had never expected such outright malice, such a profoundly heartless statement. "Stacy, I swear I'm telling the truth," Chloe sobbed, her tears now very real. "They stole everything. I couldn't even fight back. They were too many." A mocking, derisive laugh rang out from Stacy. "Oh, I hope you haven't given my money to your poor boyfriend and come here to lie. Don't play dumb with me, Chloe." Chloe's eyes widened in shock, the accusation hitting her like another slap. "I don't have a boyfriend, Stacy. I swear on my life. I've never even been touched by a man before. Why would you say that?" Laughter, loud, cruel, and filled with mockery, filled the room. "Oh, please don't make me laugh, Chloe," Stacy sneered. "You've never been touched. What kind of boring, pathetic life is that? Seriously." There was a short pause before Stacy continued, her voice dripping with contempt. "No wonder you're still so miserable. No man wants you, not even the poor ones. You're utterly worthless." Chloe's hands clenched into tight fists, her nails digging painfully into her palms, drawing blood. She wanted to scream, to lash out, to defend her shattered dignity, but she knew, with a weary resignation, that it wouldn't change anything. Stacy wouldn't listen, wouldn't care. "Anyway, I don't have time for your pathetic stories," Stacy declared, dismissing her with a wave of her hand. "Whether you were robbed or not, it's not my business. The only thing I know is that my money is gone, and you're to blame." Chloe held her breath, silently praying that Stacy wouldn't demand the money back, praying for a reprieve. "You're lucky I'm in a good mood today," Stacy continued, her voice surprisingly light. "Otherwise, I would have made you pay me back every single naira. But since I don't want to stress myself with your incompetence, I'll let it go this time." Chloe exhaled shakily, her body relaxing slightly, the weight of immediate reprisal momentarily lifted. "But don't think for a second I'm being nice," Stacy added, her voice hardening. "I just don't have time to deal with a fool like you, so get out of my sight before I change my mind and decide to punish you myself." Chloe hesitated for a moment, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. She longed to say something, to defend herself, to demand why Stacy harbored such virulent hatred towards her. But she knew it was utterly pointless. Stacy would never truly care, never truly understand. Without another word, Chloe turned and walked silently to her tiny room. Her stomach growled in protest, a painful reminder of her deprivation, but she ignored it, focusing instead on the deeper ache in her heart. She lay down on the thin, uncomfortable mattress, staring blankly at the stained ceiling. The physical pangs of hunger were nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to the crushing pain in her soul. She had tried everything, exhausted every avenue to be accepted in this house, to find a place of belonging, but it was never enough. Tears silently slid down her cheeks, a testament to her profound sorrow, but she quickly wiped them away, a habit born of self-preservation. This place, this family, was not her sanctuary. It was her prison. The weekend finally arrived, bringing with it a subtle shift in Chloe's spirit. She woke early, a rare excitement bubbling in her chest, a fragile tendril of hope after a long, grueling week. It had been a ceaseless cycle of hunger, stinging insults, and endless, thankless chores. But today, for the first time in a very long while, she felt genuinely happy. She had something, someone to look forward to. Her visit to Papa Patrick's humble home. She waited patiently, her heart a quiet drumbeat of anticipation, for Mr. Benson and Stacy to leave the house, their departure her cue for freedom. She knew with absolute certainty that if they caught her sneaking out, there would be severe repercussions, another painful punishment. But at this point, she simply didn't care. She was tired, utterly exhausted, of residing in a house where her existence was treated as nothing more than a burden. Her spirit continuously diminished. The sun was high in the sky, casting long, warm shadows as she made her way along the winding dirt road that led to Papa Patrick's house. The path was quiet, a welcome respite from the oppressive atmosphere of the Benson home, lined with tall, whispering trees and filled with the cheerful symphony of birds chirping in the distance. She meticulously followed the directions he had given her, each landmark bringing her closer to her sanctuary. Soon she spotted it. The small brown house, nestled peacefully near the river, just as he had described. A rustic wooden fence enclosed the property, and beside it, a small but vibrant farm, with rows of green vegetables swaying gently in the breeze. Chloe smiled to herself, a genuine, unburdened smile. "This place," she whispered. "It feels so peaceful, so calm." As she approached the house, a delicious, earthy aroma wafted towards her, instantly triggering a sharp pang of hunger in her stomach. It was the irresistible scent of home-cooked food, a fragrance she rarely experienced. Her hunger, long suppressed, immediately intensified. She hurried to the door, her heart quickening, and knocked gently, a hopeful tremor in her hand. "Papa, it's me, Chloe." The door swung open almost instantly, and Papa Patrick stood there, his face beaming with a joy that mirrored her own. "Ah, my daughter, you're finally here. Come in," he exclaimed, his voice warm and welcoming, a stark contrast to the cold indifference of Mr. Benson. Chloe stepped inside and gasped, her eyes widening in astonishment. On the small, humble wooden table, a veritable feast was laid out before her. There were different meals, each one a testament to Papa Patrick's generosity and thoughtfulness. Steaming hot rice, fragrant and inviting, was piled high next to a bowl of thick, rich stew, its aroma savory and tantalizing. Fried plantains, golden and perfectly caramelized, added a touch of sweetness. A bowl of fresh, vibrant fruit sat invitingly, and even a plate of roasted fish, glistening and perfectly cooked, completed the spread. It looked like a banquet, a lavish spread prepared for a king, not a simple farmer and his guest. "Papa!" Chloe exclaimed in genuine shock, her voice laced with awe. "You already cooked all this? All by yourself?" Papa Patrick laughed, a warm, hearty sound. "Yes, my daughter, you are my special guest today. You must eat well. I want you to feel nourished, truly nourished." Chloe shook her head in disbelief, tears pricking at her eyes. "Papa, you should have waited for me to come and help you cook. How did you do all this alone? It's too much. You must have tired yourself." Papa Patrick smiled, pouring her a cup of water, his eyes twinkling. "Ah, my daughter, you ask too many questions. Just eat. Don't worry about an old man like me." "But Papa," Chloe frowned, her gratitude warring with a practical concern, "where did you even get the money to cook all these? This is truly too much, far more than you can afford." Papa Patrick chuckled, a knowing glint in his eyes. "I told you, my daughter. I sold my farm produce. That's where I got the money from. It was a good harvest. Now eat before the food gets cold. You need your strength." Chloe's heart swelled with an overwhelming wave of gratitude, a profound emotion that brought tears to her eyes. She had spent the past days starving, treated as less than nothing, enduring the brutal indifference of those who were supposed to care for her. Yet here was this man, a virtual stranger who barely knew her, treating her with a boundless kindness and generosity that truly humbled her. He saw her worth, he valued her presence, and he offered her sustenance not just for her body, but for her soul. She sat down at the table, her hands trembling slightly with a mixture of excitement and sheer hunger. The moment she took the first bite, her eyes widened in pure delight. "Papa," she said, her mouth full, the flavors bursting on her tongue, "this food is so incredibly delicious." Papa Patrick laughed, a deep, joyful sound. "Eat well, my daughter. Eat well. You need strength, after all you've endured." Chloe didn't need to be told twice. She ate to her heart's content, savoring every single bite, each mouthful a blessing. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, she felt truly full, not just in her stomach, but in her heart, her spirit replenished and renewed. After they had finished eating, Papa Patrick leaned back in his chair, a deep sigh of satisfaction escaping his lips. The meal, shared in warmth and genuine companionship, had nourished them both in more ways than one. "Now, my daughter," he said, his voice gentle and inviting, "tell me about yourself. Tell me your story." Chloe's smile faltered a little, a shadow passing over her face. She slowly placed her spoon down and stared at the worn wooden table for a moment, gathering her thoughts, preparing to unravel the complex tapestry of her life. "Papa," she began, her voice soft, "I don't even know where to begin. My life has been so—" "Start from anywhere," Papa Patrick interjected gently, his eyes filled with unwavering encouragement. "I want to know you, Chloe. All of you." Chloe took a deep, fortifying breath and began to speak, the words once locked away, now flowing freely. She told him everything, how she was an orphan, adrift and alone, yearning for a place to belong. She recounted her adoption by Mr. Benson, the initial flicker of hope, the desperate yearning for a real family, a loving home. But then, the bitter reality, how she was treated not as a daughter, but as a burden, a charity case. She spoke of the endless, back-breaking chores, the constant insults, the emotional and physical neglect, the humiliation of being denied food whenever her adoptive father's anger flared. Tears welled up in Papa Patrick's eyes as he listened, his heart aching for the suffering she had silently endured. He shook his head slowly, his expression a mixture of disbelief and profound sorrow. "My daughter," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "No child, absolutely no child, deserves to be treated like that. It is barbaric." Chloe sniffled, wiping the fresh tears from her eyes, a lifetime of suppressed pain finding release in the presence of his genuine empathy. "It's okay, Papa," she whispered, though her voice betrayed the lie. "I'm used to it. It's been my normal for so long." Papa Patrick reached out, his gnarled hand gently covering hers, a gesture of profound comfort. "Don't ever say that, my daughter," he said firmly, his eyes burning with conviction. "You deserve love, kindness, and respect. Every single person does. And from now on, listen to me. Anytime they refuse to give you food, anytime they mistreat you, you come here. My door is always open for you, Chloe. Always." Chloe's eyes widened in surprise, a glimmer of incredulity mingling with nascent hope. "Papa, you really mean that? You would truly do that for me?" "Of course," he said, his voice unwavering, his conviction absolute. "You are my daughter now, Chloe. My heart has adopted you, and I will not let my daughter suffer, not while I draw breath." Chloe's heart swelled with an emotion so potent, so overwhelming she struggled to contain it. She had never, in her entire life, felt so genuinely cared for, so unconditionally loved. "Thank you so much, Papa," she choked out, tears of gratitude streaming down her face. "God bless you. You are truly God-sent, an angel in human form." Papa Patrick smiled warmly, his eyes shining with paternal affection. "My daughter," he mused, a wistful note entering his voice. "How I wish I had a son who could have married you. You are such a good, kind girl." Chloe laughed, a soft, heartfelt sound shaking her head gently. "Papa, it's okay. You are my father now, and I am your daughter. That is enough for me. More than enough." Papa Patrick nodded, his eyes shining with a profound, unconditional love. Chloe sighed, then looked out the window, a renewed sense of longing in her gaze. "How I wish I could stay here tonight, Papa," she whispered. "But if my father finds out I sneaked out, he will finish me. I can't imagine what he'd do." Papa Patrick frowned, his expression hardening. "That man," he said, his voice laced with disdain, "he does not deserve you, my daughter. He is not worthy of your goodness. One day, Chloe, you will leave that house. One day you will be free from his tyranny. You deserve a life of peace." Chloe smiled, a flicker of genuine hope igniting within her, brighter than any she had felt in a long, long time. The promise of freedom, whispered by a kind, loving father figure, resonated deep within her soul. 2 days had passed since Chloe's visit to Papa Patrick's house, and the memory of his kindness and unconditional love continued to sustain her. She had felt happier in that brief time than she had in years, the knowledge that someone genuinely cared for her, making all the difference in her otherwise bleak existence. His home had become a mental sanctuary, a place she could retreat to in her mind when the harsh realities of Mr. Benson's household became too much to bear. However, reality, as it often does, found a way to drag her back to the grim present. She was still trapped in Mr. Benson's house, a place where every day felt like a relentless battle for survival, where her spirit was constantly under siege. She had just finished the last dish, scrubbing it clean with a weary efficiency, when her phone rang. Chloe frowned, surprised by the unexpected interruption. She wiped her wet hands on her dress before hesitantly picking up the unknown number. "Hello?" she answered cautiously, her voice tinged with apprehension. A deep, unfamiliar voice responded, Finally the angel speaks." Chloe raised an eyebrow, a flicker of irritation replacing her caution. "Excuse me, who is this?" The man chuckled, a smooth, self-assured sound. "My dear, ever since I heard your voice that day, I have not been able to sleep. Your voice, Chloe, it's like the voice of an angel sent from above, a melody that haunts my dreams." Chloe rolled her eyes, her patience wearing thin. This was clearly some kind of charlatan or a man with ulterior motives. "Who are you and what do you want?" she demanded, cutting to the chase. "My name is Philip," the man said smoothly, his tone oozing with a practiced charm. "I am the man who owed your poor friend, Mr. Patrick, some money." Chloe's body stiffened, a surge of protective anger bubbling within her. "Firstly," she snapped, her voice cold, "he is my father, not just my poor friend. And secondly, have you paid my father his money yet?" Philip chuckled again, a self-satisfied sound. "Oh, I never knew he was your father. If I had known, I would have paid him long ago, believe me. Consider it done." "Don't waste my time," Chloe interjected, her patience evaporating. "Just answer the question directly. Have you paid him or not?" "Of course, my love," Philip purred, his voice sickeningly sweet, attempting to charm her despite her obvious disdain. "I paid him a few hours ago. You can ask him to confirm. The debt is settled." Chloe took a deep breath, trying to control her growing irritation, the condescension in his voice grating on her nerves. "Good," she stated, her voice firm. "Now let today be the first and last time you ever call this number. Do you understand?" Philip gasped dramatically, feigning shock and hurt. "Ah, my love, why are you talking to me like this? Do you know who I am? I am a wealthy man, Chloe, a man of immense influence and resources. I can take you and your poor father out of poverty. I can give you a life you've only dreamed of." Chloe let out a short, mocking laugh, a sharp, disbelieving sound. "Go and take your village people out of poverty first, you arrogant man. You can never buy me with your foolish money. My dignity is not for sale." Philip's voice dropped, his tone suddenly dark and serious, the charm replaced by a sinister edge. "Chloe, you're making a mistake. I always get what I want, and believe me, I want you. You will be mine." Chloe's face hardened, her resolve unyielding. "You don't always get what you want, Philip, and this time, you definitely won't. Stay away from me." Before he could utter another word, she hung up the phone with a decisive click and immediately blocked his number, severing the unwelcome connection. But on the other end of the call, Philip sat back in his opulent chair, a sly, predatory smile spreading across his face. "Don't worry, my dear Chloe," he murmured to himself, his eyes gleaming with a disturbing obsession. "I know exactly how to get you. I always get what I want." The next morning, Chloe stepped out of the house, ready to face another day of relentless chores and emotional battles. But the moment she opened the door, she froze, her heart leaping into her throat. Standing directly in front of their gate was a tall, imposing man, impeccably dressed in an expensive designer suit, his polished shoes gleaming under the morning sun. Next to him were several large, ostentatious bags, overflowing with what looked like incredibly expensive gifts, boxes of luxurious chocolates, exquisite perfumes, designer clothes, and an array of other extravagant items. Chloe's eyebrows furrowed in confusion, a sense of unease creeping over her. "Who is this?" she wondered silently. "And why is he standing in front of our house displaying such a spectacle?" She took a cautious step forward, her arms instinctively folding across her chest, a silent gesture of defense. "Who are you, sir?" she asked, her voice tinged with suspicion. "And what exactly are you doing here?" The man turned slowly, a confident, self-satisfied smile spreading across his face, a smile that sent a shiver of recognition down Chloe's spine. "Ah, my love, you don't recognize me?" he purred, his voice smooth and familiar, sending a wave of revulsion through Chloe. That voice? She knew it all too well. "It's me, Philip, baby," he said, his tone oozing with a condescending familiarity that made Chloe's stomach churn. "I came to see my wife-to-be. I told you I'd come." Chloe's mouth fell open in utter shock, her mind struggling to process his audacity. "Excuse you? Your wife-to-be? What nonsense is this?" Philip chuckled, unfazed by her obvious outrage. "Oh, come on, baby. Don't act so surprised. I told you I always get what I want, and I want you, Chloe. You are exquisite, and I intend to have you." He spread his arms wide, a grand, theatrical gesture, as if expecting her to rush into his embrace. "Look at all these gifts," he declared, gesturing to the overflowing bags. "Just a little taste of the life I can give you, the luxury that awaits you. You deserve to be spoiled, my angel." Chloe clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. The sheer arrogance of the man, his blatant disregard for her wishes, infuriated her. "How did you even get my address?" she demanded, her voice trembling with anger. Philip smiled, a predatory gleam in his eyes. "Baby, we own this town. My family and I. I know every house, every street. Finding you was easy, Chloe. Too easy." Chloe felt her skin crawl, a profound sense of violation washing over her. "Don't call me baby," she spat, her voice tight with suppressed rage. "I am not yours, and I never will be. Leave this place at once." Philip sighed dramatically, shaking his head as if she were a troublesome child. "Chloe, you're making this unnecessarily difficult. Just give me a chance. I love you, Chloe. Be mine. Let me spoil you with unimaginable wealth. Let me take care of you and Patrick. Your life of hardship will be over." Chloe's blood boiled. The mention of Papa Patrick, tainted by Philip's manipulative tone, was the final straw. "First of all," she declared, her voice rising in furious indignation, "don't ever mention Papa Patrick's name again. He is a good, honest man, and you are not worthy of speaking his name. Second, I don't want your money, not a single penny of your ill-gotten gains. And third, I will never, ever be yours. Do you understand? Go away." "Duh." Philip's confident smile faltered for a moment, a flicker of genuine surprise in his eyes, but he quickly regained his composure, his smirk returning, though this time there was something darker, more obsessive about it. His eyes glinted with a disturbing intensity. "Never, Chloe. You really think you can deny me? You must be mine. You are too beautiful, too intelligent, too decent to belong to another man, or to no man at all. Be mine, Chloe." Chloe's stomach twisted in profound disgust, her spirit recoiling from his possessive arrogance. "Let me say this one final time," she warned, her voice trembling but firm. "Next time I see you near this house, I will call the police for stalking me. I will not hesitate." Philip let out a slow, derisive laugh, the sound chillingly devoid of humor. "Baby, we own the police," he scoffed. "They will do nothing to me, absolutely nothing. You underestimate my influence, Chloe." Chloe glared at him, a silent vow of defiance in her eyes, before turning abruptly and walking back into the house, slamming the door shut behind her with a resounding thud. She was done with this senseless, horrifying encounter. As she leaned against the door, taking deep, shaky breaths to calm her racing heart, she heard a voice behind her, cool and knowing. Interesting." Chloe spun around, her heart jumping once more, only to see Stacy standing in the hallway, a wicked, triumphant grin plastered across her face. "You were really shouting at that fine, rich man, weren't you?" Stacy drawled, crossing her arms, her eyes gleaming with a mixture of amusement and thinly veiled contempt. "You're such a fool, Chloe. You should be begging him to take you. Don't you see the opportunity? Don't you understand how valuable a man like that is?" Chloe's jaw clenched, a fresh wave of irritation washing over her. "Stay out of this, Stacy," she retorted, her voice low and dangerous. Stacy, however, completely ignored her gaze fixed on Philip outside the door. With a theatrical flip of her long hair over her shoulder, she sauntered out, her movements deliberate and confident. "Good morning, sir," Stacy said, her voice dripping with an artificial sweetness, a stark contrast to the venom she usually reserved for Chloe. Philip turned, raising an eyebrow at her, a hint of curiosity in his eyes. "And who might you be, my dear?" Stacy smiled, her most charming, calculating smile. "I'm Stacy, Chloe's elder sister, and her protector, you could say." Philip smiled, a slow, appreciative curve of his lips. "Oh, I see. A pleasure to meet you, Stacy." Don't mind my sister, Stacy continued, her voice smooth as honey, an expert manipulator already at work. She's just a little difficult. A bit naive, perhaps. But don't worry, Philip. I'll talk to her. I'm sure she will listen to me. She just needs a little guidance, a little convincing to see reason. Philip looked her up and down, his gaze appraising, then nodded slowly. I like that, he said, a hint of approval in his tone. You seem reasonable, Stacy, unlike your sister. Stacy giggled, a breathy, practiced sound, and stretched out a manicured hand towards the overflowing bags of gifts. Before I forget, she purred, let me help her collect the gifts. You know, just in case she changes her mind later. We wouldn't want these precious items to go to waste, would we? Philip chuckled, a dark amusement in his eyes, and gestured magnanimously towards the bags. Be my guest, Stacy. Consider them yours to persuade her with. Stacy quickly, almost greedily, grabbed the bags of goodies, her eyes shining with undisguised excitement and avarice. Philip then reached into his pocket and pulled out a thick wad of cash, placing it squarely in Stacy's hand. This is for you, my dear, he said, his voice smooth. Just make sure you convince your sister. I don't want to wait too long for what I desire. Stacy's grin widened, a triumphant, wicked smile. Oh, don't you worry, Philip, she assured him, her voice oozing with confidence. I'll make sure Chloe sees reason. She'll come around one way or another. Philip handed her a card with his number. Keep me updated, sweetheart. I look forward to hearing good news. Of course, Stacy cooed, pocketing the money and the card. Philip then climbed into his expensive car, revved the powerful engine, and sped off, leaving a cloud of dust and the lingering scent of his expensive cologne behind him. Stacy turned back towards the house, her wicked smile still firmly in place. Chloe, she muttered to herself, shaking her head in mock pity. You really don't know how to use your beauty, do you? What a waste. The next morning, Chloe couldn't wait to leave the house. After the unsettling encounter with Philip the day before and the continued emotional turmoil within the Benson household, she desperately needed to clear her head, to find a moment of peace. There was only one place she truly wanted to be, one sanctuary that offered genuine solace, Papa Patrick's house. She carefully, painstakingly snuck out, her movements as quiet as a shadow, making absolutely sure that Mr. Benson and Stacy weren't awake or around to stop her, to unleash their usual tirades. The moment her feet touched the dusty road leading to Patrick's house, a profound wave of relief washed over her, a feeling akin to shedding a heavy cloak. This humble path, this quiet destination, had become her ultimate escape, the only place in the world where she felt truly safe, genuinely loved, and utterly accepted for who she was. When she arrived, Papa Patrick was sitting outside on a small wooden bench, basking in the gentle morning sun. His wrinkled face, etched with the wisdom of years, lit up with an immediate heartfelt smile the moment he saw her. "Ah, my daughter, you're here!" he exclaimed, his voice filled with warmth and genuine affection. Chloe practically ran up to him, collapsing onto the bench beside him, her exhaustion momentarily forgotten in the comfort of his presence. "Yes, Papa," she said, her voice a little breathless. "I needed to talk to you. I really needed to." Patrick looked at her closely, his eyes discerning, immediately sensing her distress. "What is it, my daughter? You look worried, troubled by something." Chloe let out a frustrated sigh, the pent-up emotions of the past day bubbling to the surface. "Papa, that man, Philip, he is so infuriating, so audacious. I truly don't like him, and I will never like him, no matter what he does." Papa Patrick chuckled, a knowing twinkle in his eyes. "Ah, what did he do this time, my daughter? He seems to have quite an effect on you." Chloe rolled her eyes, recalling the infuriating scene. "Yesterday, Papa, I stepped out of the house, and there he was, standing outside with bags full of expensive gifts, declaring to anyone who would listen that he came to see his wife-to-be. Can you imagine the nerve? Papa Patrick's eyes widened in genuine surprise, his smile fading. What? He actually did that? Yes, Papa. I was so angry, so insulted. I told him repeatedly to leave me alone, that I wasn't interested. But he just kept repeating how he wanted to take care of me, how he loves me, how he would spoil me with money. Can you believe the arrogance, the sheer audacity of the man? Patrick suddenly sat up straighter on the bench, his eyes narrowing in a thoughtful, almost suspicious manner. No wonder, he murmured, more to himself than to Chloe. Chloe frowned, her curiosity piqued. No wonder what, Papa? No wonder he came here the other day and paid me far more than he actually owed me, Patrick explained, rubbing his chin thoughtfully, a new understanding dawning on his face. I was genuinely surprised because the amount he gave me was excessively generous. I never knew it was because of you, my daughter. He was trying to buy his way into your good graces, trying to impress you by being generous with me. Chloe's stomach turned, a fresh wave of disgust washing over her. So, he was just trying to impress me, she muttered, the realization solidifying her disdain. Ugh, that man is so annoying, so calculating. Patrick sighed, a complex expression on his face. My daughter, he is wealthy. Very wealthy. Why don't you at least give him a chance? He could take care of you, provide you with a secure future, a life free from hardship. He seems genuinely smitten in his own way. Chloe gasped, genuinely shocked by Papa Patrick's suggestion. Papa, you too? You're actually saying this? Patrick chuckled, a gentle, understanding sound. I'm just saying, my daughter, life is hard. It has been hard for you. If a man with money, a man who clearly desires you, genuinely loves you, perhaps you should at least consider it. It's a practical consideration, Chloe. Chloe shook her head firmly, her resolve unwavering. No, Papa. I will never give him a chance. I don't care if my future man is broke, financially struggling. All I need is a good man, an honest man, a responsible man. Not an arrogant and proud fool like Philip, who thinks he can buy anything, including love and respect. That's not me. Patrick nodded slowly, absorbing her words, seeing the conviction in her eyes. I see, he murmured. And besides, Chloe continued, her voice gaining strength, I am not even ready for any romantic relationship right now, Papa. Not at this stage of my life. All I want, my deepest desire, is to earn enough money to get into university, to pursue my degrees, to gain an education. I want to build a good, honest career. And then, Papa, I want to take you out of this place. I hate to see you in this environment struggling at your age. It's not good for your health, for your peace, and I also want to make sure you stop farming, that you can finally rest. That's my wish someday. That's my true ambition. Papa Patrick's eyes widened in profound shock. He stared at her for a long time, utterly speechless, the weight of her selfless ambition and deep love for him settling heavily in the air. Finally, he reached out and held her hands, his voice trembling with an overwhelming emotion. Oh, my daughter, he whispered, tears glistening in his eyes. I wish you were truly my child. You are so kind, so compassionate, so incredibly thoughtful. May God bless you beyond measure for such a pure heart. Chloe smiled, blinking back her own tears, deeply touched by his profound sentiment. Amen, Papa, she whispered. Patrick sighed deeply, a mixture of profound sorrow and boundless hope in his expression. Don't worry, my child. The God I serve is a merciful God. He will bring somebody that will help you soon, somebody who will recognize your immense worth. Soon, my daughter, soon. Chloe let out a small, hopeful laugh. Amen, Papa. After a moment of comfortable silence, Patrick's expression shifted once more. He suddenly clenched his fists, a determined glint entering his aged eyes. "And listen, my daughter," he declared, his voice firm. "Any time that foolish Philip comes near you again, you call me. You call me immediately. I will come over and I will beat the hell out of him. I will teach him a lesson he will never forget for bothering my daughter." Chloe stared at him in utter shock for a moment, then burst into uncontrollable laughter. She laughed so hard she had to hold her stomach, tears streaming down her face, but these were tears of pure joy and amusement. "Papa, you are so funny," she gasped between giggles. "Where is the strength? How can you beat a man as young and fit as Philip? He's twice your size." Patrick puffed out his chest, a mischievous glint in his eye. "Ah, don't you underestimate me, my daughter. Don't you dare. I may be old, but I still have some fight left in me. I have the spirit of a lion when it comes to protecting my family." Chloe wiped a tear from the corner of her eye, still shaking with laughter. "Papa, please don't even try it. One slap from Philip and you'll be sleeping for a week, I swear." Patrick laughed heartily, shaking his head, a genuine lightness in his demeanor. "Don't worry, my daughter. I will carry my farming cutlass. If he misbehaves, if he dares to disrespect you again, I will chase him down the street with it. He will run so fast his expensive shoes will fly off." Chloe laughed even harder, picturing the comical scene in her head, the image of tiny but fierce Papa Patrick chasing the arrogant Philip with a cutlass. "Papa, you will cause so much trouble in this town." They both laughed until their stomachs hurt, a shared moment of pure, unadulterated joy. For a precious moment, Chloe forgot all her problems. She forgot about the insidious Philip, the cruel Mr. Benson, and the vindictive Stacy. All she felt was a profound sense of happiness, a lightness that had been absent for too long. And in that moment, in the embrace of Papa Patrick's love and the warmth of his home, she knew, with an unwavering certainty, that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would fight for her future. And no amount of money, no arrogant man, no amount of cruelty from others would ever change that fundamental resolve. Her spirit, now nurtured by genuine love, was truly unyielding. Meanwhile, back at the Benson home, an entirely different kind of plotting was underway. Stacy sat comfortably on the couch, her legs elegantly crossed, a predatory gleam in her eyes as she looked at her father. Mr. Benson sat opposite her, his expression one of mild curiosity, accustomed to Stacy's dramatic pronouncements. "Father, you weren't around yesterday," Stacy began, leaning forward conspiratorially. "So you missed a lot. An absolute spectacle, actually." "Mr. Benson frowned, sensing an opportunity for gossip or perhaps profit. "What happened, Stacy? What's this all about?" Stacy smiled, a sly, self-satisfied grin. "It's about Chloe, Father. Imagine, a wealthy man named Philip came to see her, and you simply will not believe what she did." Mr. Benson's eyebrow shot up. "A wealthy man? Who is he? Someone important?" "I don't know much about his background," Stacy explained, her voice dripping with calculated exaggeration. "But from the way he dressed, in suits that cost a fortune, and the car he drove, which was an absolute masterpiece of luxury, he is clearly unimaginably rich. A true catch." She continued, painting a vivid, embellished picture. "He came with bags full of expensive gifts, Father. I mean, real luxury items, things that even I would covet. He stood outside our gate waiting for Chloe, calling her his wife-to-be and proclaiming his desire to take care of her, to lavish her with a life of ease. He was completely smitten, Father, absolutely obsessed." Mr. Benson's eyes widened slightly, a flicker of avarice in their depths. "And what?" he asked, a hint of impatience in his voice. "Did that foolish Chloe do?" Stacy rolled her eyes dramatically, feigning exasperation. "She insulted him, Father. Can you imagine? A man with immense wealth, a man who could change her entire life, came to spoil her, and instead of seizing the opportunity, she started acting all righteous and dignified. She told him to leave, that she wasn't interested in his money or his affections, and she even threatened to call the police on him for stalking. The sheer arrogance. Mr. Benson shook his head, his face a mask of profound displeasure and disappointment. That girl is truly foolish, utterly devoid of sense. A rich man came to her, offering her a golden ticket out of her miserable life, and she simply threw it away. Does she honestly think men like that appear every day? Does she not understand the rarity of such a chance? Exactly, Stacy said, her voice rising with excited agreement. Father, do you know how many women, truly beautiful and deserving women, are praying for a man like Philip? Millions. But look at Chloe, rejecting him like she has endless options, like she's a queen in waiting. It's an insult to practicality. Mr. Benson scoffed, a sneer twisting his lips. She has no sense of reality, no grasp of how the world works. She behaves as if decency and hard work alone can put food on the table, can provide luxury. Even you, her elder sister, who is far more beautiful and worldly, are still waiting for a rich man to marry. Yet here she is, foolishly pushing one away, refusing a golden opportunity. Stacy nodded quickly, her mind already racing with possibilities. That's precisely what I was thinking too, Father. A man like Philip is a rare catch, a true gem in this barren landscape of men. And between you and me, Father, she lowered her voice conspiratorially, her eyes gleaming, I fit him more than Chloe does. I mean, I am more mature, more beautiful, more experienced, and certainly more exposed to the ways of the wealthy world than that little, naive orphan. I know how to handle a man of his stature. Mr. Benson smirked, a flicker of approval in his eyes. Now you're talking, Stacy. Now you're thinking wisely, strategically. You understand how to seize an opportunity. Stacy flipped her long, dark hair back, a gesture of confident self-assurance. I was originally going to talk to Chloe, Father, and try to convince her to accept him, to see the light. But now that I think of it, why waste my time? Why put in all that effort if she's too foolish to see her own good? If she doesn't want him, then I will simply take him for myself. He's mine for the taking. Mr. Benson smiled approvingly, a cold, calculating gleam in his eyes. That is a far better plan, Stacy. Don't force her. If she has rejected him, then leave her to suffer the consequences of her foolish pride. Instead, since you now have his number, call him. Fill his ears with terrible things about Chloe. Make sure he sees her as a worthless girl, someone he shouldn't even spare a second thought for. Plant seeds of doubt and disgust. Stacy gasped, her eyes lighting up with wicked delight. Oh, Father, I never even thought of that. You are truly brilliant, an absolute genius. That's perfect. Mr. Benson nodded, pleased with her quick understanding. You must act fast, Stacy. If you succeed, Philip will no longer want anything to do with Chloe, and all his attention, all his immense wealth, will turn exclusively to you. He will be yours. Stacy grinned, a truly malevolent expression twisting her features. Yes, and those expensive gifts he brought yesterday? I will keep them, Father. Chloe doesn't deserve them anyway. If she wants to act foolish and self-righteous, let her suffer the consequences. Let her see what she missed out on. Good, Mr. Benson said, looking thoroughly pleased with his daughter's ruthless pragmatism. And make sure you also talk to Chloe. Feed her lies about Philip. Tell her horrible, fabricated things about him, so that she will hate him even more, so that her disgust for him deepens. That way, even if he still tries to chase her, even if he overcomes your efforts, she will never, ever accept him. She'll be completely immune to his charms. Stacy clapped her hands together in unrestrained excitement, a chilling sound. "Oh, Father, this plan is absolutely perfect. Chloe has no idea what's coming for her. Philip will be mine, and she will regret ever rejecting him, ever crossing our path." Mr. Benson smirked, a cruel, satisfied expression on his face. "And let that fool continue to struggle in this house, Stacy. Let her cling to her pointless dignity. She will learn the hard way that life is not about upholding some foolish moral code, but about sheer, brutal survival. She'll learn her lesson." Stacy smiled wickedly, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Don't worry, Father. I will make sure Philip completely forgets that Chloe even exists. She will be a distant, unpleasant memory." As they continued their detailed discussion, plotting Chloe's downfall, Stacy was already mentally forming her next moves, her mind a dangerous labyrinth of ambition and malice. "Philip will be mine," she vowed silently, the words a cold, determined echo in her mind. Later that evening, Stacy sat in the living room, a coiled spring of anticipation, eagerly awaiting Chloe's return from wherever she had sneaked off to. She was itching to put her father's Machiavellian plan into action, to weave her web of lies and deceit. The moment she heard the telltale creak of the front door opening, she swiftly adopted a grave, serious expression, leaning forward on the couch as if she were deep in profound, troubled thought. Chloe walked in, her body weary from her visit to Papa Patrick's house, her spirit buoyed by his kindness, but still physically drained. She barely glanced at Stacy, her focus solely on reaching the sanctuary of her tiny room. "Chloe, wait," Stacy called out, her voice unusually soft, almost gentle, a stark contrast to her usual harsh tone. Chloe sighed internally, already suspecting trouble, her guard instantly raising. She turned around, folding her arms defensively, her face etched with a familiar weariness. "What is it, Stacy?" she asked, her voice flat. Stacy let out a deep, dramatic sigh, shaking her head slowly as if burdened by immense sorrow. "Chloe, I just want to talk to you. It's about Philip." Chloe frowned, a fresh wave of irritation washing over her. "Philip? What about him? I told you, I want nothing to do with that man." Stacy leaned back on the couch, crossing her legs, a picture of false concern. I know," Stacy said quickly, holding up a hand in a placating gesture. "You don't like him, and that's fine. Completely understandable. But I felt it was important, as your sister, to tell you the truth about him, to warn you, actually. You rejected him without truly knowing who he really is. And as your elder sister, I feel it's my duty to protect you from harm." Chloe raised an eyebrow, a skeptical glint in her eyes. "Warn me? About what?" Stacy nodded, lowering her voice conspiratorially, as if she were sharing a grave, dangerous secret. "Chloe, Philip is not who you think he is. He's dangerous. You see him as this charming, wealthy bachelor, but I know him better than anyone. He's a married man." Chloe blinked, unimpressed, her expression utterly blank. "Okay, and?" Stacy looked slightly thrown off by Chloe's unexpected calmness, her lack of shock, but she quickly recovered, pressing on with her fabricated narrative. "He has 2 wives already, Chloe. Not 1, but 2. And do you know what else?" Chloe sighed, her patience wearing thin. "No, Stacy, I don't. Please just get to the point." Stacy leaned even closer, dropping her voice to a dramatic whisper, ensuring every word landed with maximum impact. "He is a ritualist, Chloe. People say he uses women for dark rituals. That's how he amassed his enormous wealth, through dark sacrifices and unspeakable acts. He's evil." Chloe's expression remained utterly blank, her face a mask of complete indifference. "Wow," she said, her tone devoid of emotion. "That's something." Stacy stared at her, waiting, anticipating a gasp, a scream, a look of horror. But Chloe simply stood there, unbothered, her posture relaxed, her eyes unmoving. "So," Stacy finally asked, frowning, confusion creeping into her voice, "you're not shocked? Not even a little bit scared?" Chloe shrugged, a casual gesture. "Why should I be, Stacy? It doesn't concern me. I was never interested in him in the first place, regardless of his marital status or his alleged rituals. He is nothing to me." Stacy's eyes twitched slightly, a flicker of frustration passing through them, but she forced a smile, determined to salvage her plan. "Well, I just thought you should know," she said, her voice now a little strained. "You know, so you don't regret rejecting him later, so you understand the bullet you dodged." Chloe scoffed, a dry, dismissive sound. "Regret, Stacy? I don't even think about Philip. I don't care if he has 2 wives or 10 wives. He could be a ritualist, a thief, or even the king of a secret cult. It doesn't concern me in the slightest because I was never going to accept him in the first place. His character, his past, his wealth, none of it mattered because my answer was always going to be no." Stacy blinked, momentarily speechless, her carefully constructed facade cracking under Chloe's unwavering indifference. She hadn't expected Chloe to be so completely unaffected, so utterly unmoved by her elaborate lies. Chloe tilted her head slightly, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. "But if you're so worried about him, Stacy, if his personal life concerns you so much, why don't you take him? Since you're suddenly so interested in his dark secrets and his wives, why not become his 3rd wife? You seem to know so much about him." Stacy's lips parted in genuine shock, her carefully composed expression finally shattering. "What?" she gasped, taken completely by surprise. Chloe smiled, a genuine, sardonic curve of her lips. "You clearly care about him more than I do, Stacy. You can have him. He's all yours. It's truly not my problem." Stacy's hands curled into fists, her frustration boiling over into barely suppressed rage. "Chloe, you're not taking this seriously." "Because it's not my concern, Stacy," Chloe said, turning definitively towards her room, dismissing her stepsister and her lies. "Unlike you, I have far better things to do with my life than to meddle in the affairs of a man I despise." Stacy watched in utter frustration as Chloe walked away without a second thought, her carefully crafted plan lying in ruins. Chloe was completely unmoved, utterly unbothered by her attempts at manipulation, and that, ironically, made Stacy even more determined to ensure Philip became hers, no matter the cost. Later that evening, Stacy sat in her room, fuming, a tempest of frustration and anger raging within her. Her meticulously crafted plan to turn Chloe against Philip had failed spectacularly, but she was not one to be easily deterred. There was still another way, a different approach to achieve her coveted goal. Philip, she knew, wanted Chloe, and if Stacy played her cards with cunning and precision, she could undoubtedly use that powerful desire to her own advantage. She picked up her phone, her fingers trembling slightly with a mixture of rage and excitement, and dialed Philip's number, a confident, predatory smile spreading across her lips as she waited for him to answer. After a few rings, Philip picked up. "Ah, Stacy," Philip said smoothly, his voice betraying a hint of anticipation. "I was expecting your call, my dear. I always knew you were the more sensible sister." Stacy smiled, a self-satisfied grin. "Of course, Philip. I had to call. After what happened yesterday, I knew we needed to talk. I felt it was my duty to clarify things, to set the record straight." Philip chuckled, a low, knowing sound. "So tell me, have you spoken to Chloe? Have you finally managed to convince her of her good fortune?" Stacy sighed dramatically, a theatrical performance of exasperation. "Philip, that's exactly why I'm calling you. I care about you, truly I do. And I don't want you wasting your valuable time, your precious attention, on someone who doesn't deserve you, someone who is simply not worth your efforts. Chloe is not that woman." Philip raised an eyebrow, a flicker of suspicion entering his tone. "Oh? And what exactly do you mean by that, Stacy? Enlighten me. Stacy lowered her voice, making it sound as if she were about to reveal a deep, shocking secret, something truly scandalous. Philip, Chloe is not who you think she is, not at all. You see her as this innocent, virtuous girl, this pristine angel. But Philip, I know her better than anyone else in this town. I've grown up with her. She's corrupt, Philip, utterly corrupt. She pretends to be decent, she puts on this facade of virtue, but she's been sleeping around with different men, countless men, for a very long time. She's a deceitful, manipulative opportunist. Philip's expression didn't change, his face a mask of impassivity. Is that so? He murmured, his tone unreadable. Yes, Stacy continued, leaning further into her carefully constructed lie, confident that she was winning him over. And not just young men, Philip. Oh no, old men, wealthy men, married men. Do you know how many times she sneaks out at night under the cover of darkness? That's why she rejected you, Philip, because you're not old enough for her, not seasoned enough. She's busy entertaining her numerous sugar daddies, her wealthy old benefactors, while you're here thinking she's special, thinking she's a prize to be won. She's playing you for a fool, Philip. Philip let out a low, unsettling chuckle, a sound that sent a ripple of unease through Stacy, despite her confidence. Interesting, he said, his voice still unreadable. Go on, Stacy. Tell me more about Chloe's secret life. Stacy smiled, her heart pounding with a triumphant thrill, utterly convinced that her plan was working flawlessly. Philip, I truly care about you. That's why I'm telling you the absolute truth about Chloe, saving you from a grave mistake. Chloe is playing games with you, Philip. You deserve better than her. You deserve someone like me, a classy woman, educated, undeniably beautiful, and most importantly, someone who knows precisely how to treat a man of your status, a man of your immense power and influence. I am not like Chloe. I can be the woman beside you, the one who makes you proud, the one who understands your world, the one who... A sudden sharp burst of laughter from Philip cut her off mid-sentence, abruptly shattering her confident monologue. Stacy frowned, genuinely confused by his reaction. Philip, why are you laughing? This is serious. Philip continued laughing for a few more seconds, the sound harsh and derisive, before finally composing himself enough to speak. Oh, Stacy, my dear, he drawled, his voice now laced with a chilling contempt. Who in this town doesn't know you? Everyone knows your true colors. Stacy's smile faded instantly, replaced by a look of profound shock and dawning horror. What? What do you mean, Philip? What are you talking about? Philip's voice turned cold, sharper than a razor's edge. Everything, Stacy, boy, everything. You just said about Chloe, about her corrupt lifestyle, about her sleeping around with different men, about her chasing wealthy benefactors. That, my dear, is actually you. You just gave me a detailed account of your own miserable life history. Don't you think I do my research, Stacy? Do you think I'm a fool who takes everything at face value? Stacy's eyes widened in utter shock, her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. Philip, that's not true. You're mistaken. Philip scoffed, his voice dripping with disdain. Oh, please, don't insult my intelligence further. Everyone in this town knows your name, Stacy, and not for good reasons. Your reputation precedes you, and it's a very sordid one. You've been with so many men, so many married men, that even the most desperate bachelors are afraid of you now. And you, with your tarnished reputation, have the audacity to lie to me about Chloe, about a genuinely decent girl? How pathetic. Stacy's heart pounded in her chest, a frantic drumbeat of terror and rage. Philip, listen to me, you've got it all wrong. Philip cut her off, his voice absolute, leaving no room for argument. No, you listen to me, Stacy. Let me make this perfectly clear. I will never date, nor will I ever consider marrying someone as corrupt, as mannerless, and as utterly shameless as you. You are desperate, Stacy, and I don't deal with women like you. You are beneath me." Stacy felt a burning rage boil inside her, a volcanic eruption of fury and humiliation. "Philip, you can't talk to me like that. You have no right." Philip let out a short, derisive laugh, the sound filled with utter contempt. "I can talk to you however I like, Stacy, and let me warn you, for your own good, don't you ever call this number again. You are the daughter of a lazy man who shamelessly survives off his own daughter's dirty dealings. I don't associate with people like you, with such moral decay. You're a disgrace." Before Stacy could even formulate a response, before she could unleash the torrent of her own fury, she heard a sharp click. The call ended. Her hands trembled violently as she stared at her phone, her mouth opening and closing uselessly in profound shock and